very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. It is the start of a brand new week, and in the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through the biggest news stories from India and across the world that you might have missed during the weekend, but that are changing our world, and also be telling you what to expect in the day ahead. Let us start with the headlines. President Ramnath Kovind's Independence Day Eve address to the nation, AIR and Doordarshan to broadcast President's first address after assuming charge. Terrorists in Kashmir on the run, says Defence Minister Arun Jaitley, adds government's priority to clean up a valley of armed militants. Big win for forces as 3 terrorists neutralised in Shopian. "46 people killed after landslide buries state transport buses in Himachal Pradesh. Flood situation worsens in Assam with 10 more deaths. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assures all possible central assistance. Centre sanctions 85 crore rupees for Regional Medical Research Centre in Gorakhpur. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath assures exemplary punishment for those responsible for children's deaths. And Usain Bolt pulls out with a hamstring injury in his final competitive race, fails to finish the men's 4x100 meters relay race at the World Athletics Championships in London. The top story this morning: President Ramnath Kovind will address the nation at 7 p.m. today on the eve of India's 71st Independence Day. Now, this is his first address to the nation after assuming charge. The address will be broadcast on the entire national network of All India Radio and telecast all over the channels of Doordarshan in Hindi, followed by English. Now, broadcast of the address in Hindi and English on Doordarshan will be followed by broadcast in regional languages by the regional channels of Doordarshan. AIR will broadcast regional language versions from 8 p.m. onwards on its respective regional networks. A big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Defence Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the terrorists are on the run in the Kashmir Valley and that the centre is committed to clearing the valley of armed militants. He said this at an interaction with the private news channel on Sunday. His statement came on a day when 3 Hizbul Mujahideen militants were eliminated in Shopian during an encounter. 2 army men were also martyred.
Defence Minister Arun Jaitley has said that terrorists in the Kashmir Valley are now on the run and they cannot continue to terrorise the people for decades. Speaking to a private news channel on Sunday, Jaitley said the government's priority was to clean up the Kashmir Valley of armed militants.
एक प्रकार से वैली को आर्म्ड टेररिस्ट से क्लींस करना है, ये एक अभियान चल रहा है और इसमें जितनी सफलता पिछले कुछ महीनों में उनको मिल रही है, आज कोई आतंकवादी ये नहीं सोच सकता कि वो आतंकवाद करे और उसके बाद वो सालों साल तक, दशकों तक दहशत फैलाई रखेगा। आज उसकी लाइफ कुछ महीनों की रह गई है.
In Kashmir, a big success for security forces and a major jolt to the Hizbul Mujahideen. 3 of its terrorists, including its self-styled commander Yasin Ittu, alias Ghaznavi, have been killed in an encounter in Shopian in South Kashmir.
The cordon was being laid. The security forces came under fire from inside the house and also from outside the cordon.
The gunfight between the armed forces and terrorists, which began on Saturday night, injured 5 army personnel. 2 of them succumbed to injuries later. 3 rifles were also recovered from the encounter site. Indian Army Chief General Bipin Rawat and other officers paid homage to the 2 soldiers. Their bodies were flown to New Delhi, where the Army Chief and other officers laid wreath to the coffins. On Sunday night, Pakistani troops violated ceasefire 4 times. Along the line of control in Poonch, Rajouri and Baramulla districts, 3 army jawans have been injured as a result. They have been admitted to the base hospital in Srinagar. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And amid the ongoing standoff along the India-China border, Chinese Vice Premier Wang Yi will visit Nepal this week. While India maintains a silence on the provocation by the Chinese establishment, it is upgrading its security preparedness to defeat any sudden eventuality on the borders close to China. Now, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj too had visited Kathmandu and met the leaders in Nepal last week. India feels that Chinese Vice Premier Wang Yan's visit to Nepal might be part of their plan to score points on the issue of Doklam. This is the first visit of a Chinese high national official to Nepal after the standoff in Doklam. However, experts feel that the issue is such that India has nothing to think back, no matter what the pressures might be. Doklam is strategically immensely important for India.
Strategic region, very close to India. It's a part of the Bhutan, and we are also supporting the Bhutan's security and stability, as well as sovereignty over this land. So the number of factors which are forcing India to support Bhutan and its own security and stability.
While the issues related to Bhutan at the moment, the Chinese strategy is also to provoke Nepal against India. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was in Kathmandu last week for the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers meet, where she met both Bhutanese and Nepalese leadership. She assured Nepal of India's support in both strengthening of democracy and development.
लोकतांत्रिक पद्धति नेपाल में आई है, हम सब उसकी सफलता की कामना करते हैं। नेपाल का विकास हो, हम उसमें भागीदारी करते हैं, हम उसमें सहयोग देना चाहते हैं।
While India has always maintained that there should be talks to negotiate, China has taken a stand that no talks will be held till India withdrew forces. Union Minister Jitendra Singh had played down heightened rhetoric by Beijing, stating that India was fully equipped to face any challenge. India has finally conveyed that both the nations should withdraw together to resolve the issue and initiate talks. China has not responded on this proposal yet. This is Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV. On to situation in Darjeeling now, and Home Minister Rajnath Singh has appealed to the leaders of the Gorkhaland statehood movement in Darjeeling to call off their agitation. The decision comes after a meeting chaired by Rajnath Singh with the leaders of the Gorkhaland Movement Coordination Committee in New Delhi yesterday. Singh has also requested the Gorkhas to end their ongoing hunger strike. He also urged the West Bengal government to initiate a dialogue with the Gorkhaland movement leaders to resolve their demands. The shutdown enters 61st day today. Now, except medicine shops, all the business establishment remains closed in the hills. Police and security forces patrolled the streets in the hills and kept a vigil on the entry and exit routes.
ये 60 दिन से जो बंद चल रहा है दार्जिलिंग में, उसके बाद ये आमरण अनशन बैठे हुए 24 दिन हो गया है। इसके बाद जो दिल्ली से केंद्र सरकार से वार्ता के लिए निमंत्रण आया है, इसको हम लोग स्वागत करते हैं और उम्मीद करते हैं कि आज के बाद गोरखालैंड के लिए ये डायलॉग ओपन होगा बोल के हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं।
Big story from Uttar Pradesh. The State Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has warned of exemplary punishment for those responsible for the deaths of children at the Baba Raghav Das Medical College and Hospital in Gorakhpur. The centre has sanctioned 85 crore rupees for the setting up of a regional medical research centre in Gorakhpur. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed concern over the deaths and is also constantly monitoring the situation.
The centre has sanctioned 85 crore rupees for setting up of a regional medical research centre in Gorakhpur. This is following recurring deaths of children in the region.
मैंने रीजनल मेडिकल रिसर्च सेंटर फुल फ्लेजेड इंस्टीट्यूट का को अप्रूवल दी है और 85 करोड़ रुपए 85 करोड़ की लागत से वो गोरखपुर में इस्टेब्लिश होगा, जो यहाँ के सारे जो बच्चों के इन्फेक्शंस के सारे जो रीजंस होते हैं उनका रिसर्च भी करेगा और उसके माध्यम से दूरगामी प्रभाव छोड़ने के लिए वो उसमें क्या क्या किया जा सकता है उन इनिशिएटिव्स के बारे में भी वो रिसर्च करके यहाँ के डॉक्टर्स को बताएगा और प्रोटोकॉल में जोड़ेगा.
More than 60 children have reportedly died at the Baba Raghav Das Medical College Hospital since August 7. Many of the deaths have been for the want of oxygen after supply was disrupted by the vendor over pending bills. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has assured exemplary punishment for those responsible.
केवल गोरखपुर ही नहीं, उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर अगर किसी की लापरवाही से अगर कहीं पर जनहानि होगी तो फिर सरकार उसको बख्शेगी नहीं। बहुत सख्ती के साथ ऐसे तत्वों से निपटने का कार्य करेगी, बहुत सख्त कार्रवाई करेगी। और हम लोगों ने भी तय किया है, बीआरडी मेडिकल कॉलेज के प्रकरण को लेकर के हम लोग इन मुद्दों को लेकर के, उन सभी पक्षों को लेकर के हम लोग इस पर कार्य कर रहे हैं। चीफ सेक्रेटरी की अध्यक्षता में एक कमेटी बनाई गई है, उनकी रिपोर्ट का थोड़ा इंतजार करिए। दोषियों को किसी भी स्थिति में बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
Most of the deaths occurred in the neonatal intensive care unit. A team of specialists from New Delhi are camping at Gorakhpur to strengthen the treatment protocol and ascertain the cause of death of so many children. The opposition has demanded the Chief Minister's resignation. The Congress says Supreme Court monitored probe must be held into the tragedy.
राज्य सरकार की और मेडिकल कॉलेज की जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है उनकी गलती की वजह से, उनकी लापरवाही की वजह से हुआ। टोटल नेग्लिजेंस ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एंड द लोकल हॉस्पिटल एंड कॉलेज एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन।
The state government suspended the principal of the medical college for laxity. The nodal officer of the pediatric department of the hospital has been divested of the charge. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's get you an update on flood situation across various states of the country. At least 46 people have been killed and many more injured after two buses of the Himachal Road Transport Corporation were buried under a massive landslide at Kotrupi in Mandi on Sunday. On the other hand, in Assam, the flood situation worsened with 10 more deaths being reported. Nearly 22.5 lakh people are affected in the state. At least 46 people have been killed and many injured after two buses of the Himachal Road Transport Corporation were buried under a massive landslide at Kotrupi in Mandi on Sunday. The toll is expected to rise. Rescue teams of the Army, NDRF and police are working to retrieve the bodies from the debris. Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh visited the spot and directed the authorities for intensifying relief and rescue work. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a tweet expressed grief over the deaths in the landslide. In Assam, the flood situation worsened on Sunday with 10 more deaths. Nearly 22.5 lakh people are affected. Army has been called out for rescue operations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal and assured all possible help and support in handling the situation. Authorities are running 678 relief camps and distribution centers in 17 districts. Around 1.83 lakh people are living in the camps. Nearly 17 NDRF teams have been deployed in the flood-affected districts of Assam.
कुल मिला के 19 जिले में बाढ़ परिस्थिति के वजह से, कटाव के वजह से लोगों को भुगतना पड़ रहा है और असम सरकार की तरफ से लोगों को मदद करने के लिए हर कदम उठाया गया है और भारत सरकार की तरफ से भी हमें इस विषय पर मदद मिल रहा है.
In Bihar, Home Minister Rajnath Singh spoke to Chief Minister Nitish Kumar on Sunday and discussed the flood situation in the state. Nearly 320 NDRF personnel have been rushed to the state for relief work. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
St. Thomas Basilica. One of the world's 3 churches that is built over the Tomb of Apostles. St. Thomas was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ who brought Christianity to India. With an underground tomb where the remains of St. Thomas are laid, this magnificent basilica is of Gothic architecture. The stained glass of the church depicts some divine moments of St. Thomas's life. In 2006, this church was conferred with the status of National Shrine.
This is Kibutu in Arunachal Pradesh, East Point East on the map of India. Kibutu is dangerously close to the Chinese pressure point. We see first-hand and unseen areas of sand dunes and see how BSF is guarding this difficult territory along the Indo-Pak borderline. We are now slowly entering into the interior-most parts of the Sir Creek area. Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force justifies each word of this saying. Watch super exclusive episodes of National Security Series only on Rajya Sabha television.
Misty valleys, foaming rivers. Perched atop all these is Cherrapunji, also known as Sohra or Churra, which means the land of oranges. Year-round rain had once placed Cherrapunji in the record books as the wettest place on earth. Today, climactic changes have pushed it out of the top wet slot. But Cherrapunji continues to retain its pristine features. These perpetual clouds and the all-pervasive mists.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking history on Rajya Sabha TV.
Harappan sites are a treasure trove of sophisticated pottery. These creations show tremendous advances by the potter's wheel. Creations like the perforated jar, the copper axe, the chisel and knives astound even present-day archaeologists. Figurines depicting yoga poses, chess pieces display a complexity unsurpassed even by later-day civilizations, all of which make the Harappan civilization truly unique.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's get you some international news now. The flood situation in Nepal still remains grim. Now at least 55 people have died and several others injured due to flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rainfall. Nearly 700 tourists, including 200 Indians, are reportedly stranded. Water levels in various rivers are increasing and some are flowing above the danger mark. More than 100 hotels have been partially submerged and over 1,000 houses have been inundated. As per reports, Nepal Army rescued more than 1,000 flood-hit people from across the country. 21 districts have been badly hit by flooding and landslides. Meanwhile, the Met Department has predicted more rains in the next couple of days. The Nepal government cabinet on Sunday held an emergency meeting and Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Dueba ordered district officials to intensify relief and rescue operations. And news from the United States now, where hundreds of protesters marched through many U.S. cities on Sunday to denounce the white nationalist violence in Charlottesville. While most of the marches were peaceful, in Seattle, police used a pepper spray to stop anti-fascist protesters approaching a pro-Trump rally. The protest came after a woman was killed on Saturday when a car rammed into a crowd protesting against the rally in Charlottesville. A rally organizer was chased away by protesters as he tried to give a press conference on Sunday. 19 people were injured in the car ramming incident and another 15 people were wounded in separate clashes related to the march. Meanwhile, the White House has defended President Donald Trump's reaction to the deadly violence. This after critics said that Trump did not explicitly condemn the white extremist groups involved in the rally. And more news from the United States. Senior U.S. national security officials said on Sunday that a military confrontation with North Korea is not imminent, but they cautioned that the possibility of war is greater than it was a decade ago. The CIA Director Mike Pompeo and Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, President's National Security Advisor, tried to provide assurances that a conflict is avoidable, while also supporting Trump's tough talk. They said that the United States and its allies no longer can afford to stand by as North Korea pushes ahead with the development of a nuclear-tipped intercontinental ballistic missile. The two officials said that the U.S. was pursuing a very determined diplomatic effort coupled with new financial sanctions to dissuade North Korean leader Kim Jong-un from further provocations. The developments come after Trump made fresh threats against North Korea on Friday, warning Kim that he will regret it fast if he takes any action against the U.S. territories or its allies. On to some cricket news now, when India looks set for a series of whitewash against Sri Lanka as they piled up a score of 487 all out on the second day of the third in the final test match at Palakkad. Now, Hardik Pandya smashed his maiden test century. Pandya's knock that contained 7 powerful sixes punctured whatever hopes Sri Lanka had to make it a contest. Later, Chinaman Kuldeep Yadav routed the Sri Lanka middle order, scalping 4 Sri Lankan batsmen after Mohammad Shami sent back both the openers to help India bundle out the host for a paltry 135 runs. Now, with a massive 352-run lead to head, Virat Kohli had no hesitation in enforcing a follow-on and inflict more misery on a hapless Sri Lanka. And India have not included senior batsmen Yuvraj Singh and spinners R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja for the first 5 ODI one-off T20 series against Sri Lanka. The series starts on 20th of August after the conclusion of the ongoing 3-test series. The visitors have made as many as 7 changes to the squad, which were featured in the limited over series. There is no reserve wicket-keeper in the squad, and the seam bowling duties will be shared between Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Jasprit Bumrah and Shardul Thakur. Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Shami, who are part of the test setup in the ongoing series, are not included for the ODIs. Legendary sprinter Usain Bolt has retired from athletics. The farewell ended in agony as he injured himself while running the last lap of the men's 4x100-meter relay race in the World Athletics Championships in London. Now, this was his final competitive race. The 30-year-old Bolt, after taking the baton from his Jamaican teammate Johan Blake, suffered cramps on his left hamstring. Bolt expressed gratitude to his fans for loving him.
For me, it was brilliant, you know what I mean? The support hasn't changed, you know what I mean? I expected this. It's just really sad that I have to walk away now. But the energy of the crowd was outstanding as always, and I really love them. They made me feel so at home and so welcome. My fans really love me, and I really appreciate that.
So that was Usain Bolt's emotional farewell lap at the World Athletics. Thank you so much for watching. The news and updates continue on your channel.